right, let's get back after it. I think we're at the stage that we need to create our first blog post using Divi, which is super exciting because content is king. And the more content you create, the more opportunity you're giving yourself or for others to find you. Okay, so one of the very first things that we learn when we start an agency is that we need people to find us, and we need to show people our expertise, to have the resources in place for them to want to trust us to hire us. So this is a two-part episode because the next episode is super cool, and the only way you're going to find that video is if you subscribe to this channel. Subscribe, click the notification button, all that other happy jazz, like our videos or like my videos, comment on the videos. I love the feedback. So let's dig in. Let's talk about blogs or articles or whatever you want to call them. Your homepage is going to get a lot of traffic, but most people are going to find you based on your content. So you need to create content. And this is a perfect example because I want people to find how to create a free Divi blog article, okay, using Divi, and how to go through that design process. And I'm going to walk you through that step by step by step. And I'm going to explain every step of the way and what's important, not only from a design standpoint, but also what's important from the standpoint of SEO or search engine optimization, and how do you get people to find what you're trying to put out. So I've already done a little bit of this ahead of time, but I'm actually going to back up and start from scratch. I apologize in advance. This is probably going to be a longer video because I want to go through that step-by-step process as far as making sure that everything is accurate. All right. So let me go ahead and start by sharing my screen. And let's see, share my screen. Which screen? Let's share this one and let's go. All right, so as you can see, I've already started the design process. I wanted to make sure that I had all of the assets in place, but what we're gonna do, see, I've named this free Divi child theme. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how I created this and why I took all of these steps. We're just gonna make it super quick, super easy, and that way you can duplicate the process and you can just, hammer out bang, bang, bang. Because after all, if you're just starting your agency, you have a lot of work ahead of you, I promise. Let's dig in. All right, very first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to X out of this, and I am not going to save it. So I'm using Photoshop. I have certain assets already open here, but the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control or Command on a Mac. I'm going to hit Control N for new, and I'm going to make this free Divi child theme. And the very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this 1920 by 1080. And it's important because your cover photos, your thumbnails, everything else, they may be reduced on different platforms, but I'm going to encourage you, just for the purposes of the basics of startup, to just start here, 1920 by 1080. And we're going to hit create. So we have an 8-bit. We're going to change that to 16-bit for color mode, and we're going to hit create. All right, so now I have a blank canvas. There's one of two ways to create a background. You could either create something basic where you're just putting, text on top of a background. I could go in here as an example, and I could use my paint bucket tool in Photoshop, and I could change this to the color that I want, and I would make this, for this brand's purposes, E6420B, which is that sharp color, and I could change it to this. Or I can go back to my fill and change this to white, three Fs or 6 Fs, whatever you want to do. And then I could make my lettering the orange. Okay, so I could do, free Divi. Let me start over again. Free Divi child theme. I hit enter, theme. And now I have this. I'm going to hit Control A or Command A. You can do this in advance. I can change this to E6420B, which is the hex color for Agency Hacker. And then I can go in and center this. Boom, centered. And I have all of this information, but I want to do something a little bit different because I want to put a background in there, and I want to put, let's see, white showroom background. I want to put this in the background behind it. So I don't want it to just be plain Jane because I don't want to have that white on white. So what I'm going to do here, since I'm already on this, I'm going to take this here. I'm going to highlight the area. Then I'm going to hit Control or Command C. And then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to hit Control or Command V if you're on a Mac. And that isn't really where I want it to be. But the very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layer 1 that I just created, because I just created a new layer, and I'm going to drag that below my text. You see how I did that? So drag it up. This is all in order. So every layer on Photoshop is in order as far as where you want things to be front to back. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to eliminate this, or the background, because now I have a background in layer 1. And then the very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. I'm going to zoom out to 10%. And other people do things different ways. This is how I do it. Now, the background that I just dragged in here is much larger than my 1920 by 1080. So I've zoomed out, and that's the way I zoom out. Other people are using quick keys, but that's just how I do it. And I'm going to hit Control T. So you can see this is the outline area, and it doesn't really have good shadowing. So I'm going to go ahead and resize this using Control T. I'm going to get it as close as possible. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to hit the check mark here. Now, that image actually scrolls down, and I haven't done anything here with that yet, but I'm going to zoom back into 50% so it's bigger. And then I'm going to come up here, since I'm still on the layer over here. I'm still on this layer, and I'm going to use my move tool. And I'm going to click here on the background, and I'm going to move it up to where I want it to be. Okay, so you can see it starting to shadow or create this shadow. All right, so I'm going to leave it right about here because I think that's a pretty good shadow. And then the very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my text, and now I'm going to create my effects on this. So I'm going to go back in because I want that 3D look, and I'm going to hit Bevel Emboss, so it's going to stand out here. And then I'm going to hit Inner Shadow. I'm going to click on Inner Glow. So see how it's more pronounced. And then I also want this to have a little bit of a drop shadow. So I'm going to click Drop Shadow because that's really going to make it stand out. But then I'm going to subtract a little bit here where it says the size. I don't want it to be, I want it to be right about 4 pixels. Okay. And then the very inner bevel, got that, angle, etc. Opacity 50%. Let's make the opacity a little bit less, so it's a little bit less pronounced. Let's make this 20%. And we're also going to do this here with the linear dodge, and I'm going to make that a little bit softer too. So let's call that about 7%. All right, so 4 pixels in size from a structure standpoint. Let me go ahead and soften this a little bit. So let's make that maybe 5 pixels. So it's not standing off the screen that much. And let's see, I think we're in a pretty good spot. I think that's pronounced. It stands off the screen a little bit, and we're going to click OK. All right, feel free to pause this video and go back to different sections so you can watch me do all of that, because this is going to be a little bit of a longer video. So I want to make sure that I get everything done in a timely fashion. We're already at 9 minutes into this. So the very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on File. I'm going to click on Export. And because this has a background, I'm going to export this as a JPEG. I'm not going to do it as a scaled vector graphic. I'm going to do it as a JPEG. All right, and some of the people are going to say that I'm off my rocker, but this is how I do it. And I don't claim to necessarily be right all the time in everything, but I'm just showing you how I do it. So I'm going to go ahead and export. I'm going to go ahead and put this in my design assets because this is, so I'm going to put, free Divi child theme. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then I don't need to resize it, but I do need to compress the image. And I understand you can do that in Photoshop, but I do that through TinyPNG just to make it all uniform. All right. So I'm going to find my image, and it is right here under free Divi child theme. I'm going to upload that. I started at 444.9 kilobytes, and I ended with an 84% compression at 69.9. And remember, the smaller the imagery, the smaller the size, the faster it loads and the better user experience. So I'm going to go ahead and download this. I'm going to go ahead and right click down here, and I'm going to show that in folder. And here it is right here. And I'm going to right click again, and I'm going to rename this. And I'm going to rename this. I'm just going to put a C here. Okay. I'm just going to put a C for compressed. All right. So now I have this here, and I'm going to go ahead because I can't have the same name. So I'm going to push this back into design assets. So now the one that says C, I know is compressed. And I'm going to go ahead and close that out. So the very next thing that I need to do, all right, and I'm over here, I'm in my agency hacker dashboard on WordPress, and I'm going to go ahead and create a post. Now I'm going to show you how to create a post the easy way, do all of these great things, SEO, all of this other stuff, all of these things that are already in place. And then I'm going to cut the video off, and I'm going to talk about some really cool stuff that talks about the actual what I'm actually doing, because the next video is really important. It's really important if you're an agency owner, because I'm going to give you a free tool that allows you to expand your brand name and get a foot in the door with a free tool that says, here's what it is. I'm going to give this tool to other people. I'm going to get street cred from an agency standpoint. And then secondary to that, I'm going to put myself in a position that if I'm working with somebody who's using Divi and needs a free child theme, and they get jammed up and they finally realize that they just don't have the capabilities, they can reach out to you and you can do the design for them. Okay. And you can start working with them on it. That might be a great website client for them. All right. So we're going to go ahead and here and add new for a post. So I hovered here, add new. And then the name of this is going to be free Divi child theme. All right. So let it propagate. And so I now have free Divi child theme as my permalink, which is exactly what I want. And then down here, oops, oh, I don't have rank math active on this site yet. So I'm not going to show you how to SEO it. I'm just going to show you how to build it, and that's fine. The very next thing that we want to do is I want to create a category, because this is a fairly newer website, and I'm going to name this website design. No parent category. I'm going to add that new category here, and I'm going to put, for tags, I'm going to put child theme, free child theme, and free Divi child theme. And lastly, Divi child theme. Okay. And we'll go into optimizing the page later, because I'm still working on the website here and I don't want to make this a super long video. So we're going to just go right into it. So I have free child theme here. I'm going to go ahead and use the Divi builder. Come on, load up. All right, there it is. So post draft saved. We're good here. I'm going to choose a pre-made layout. All right, so pre-made layout. Maybe, I don't know yet. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down all the way down to the bottom, because I think this theme that I used here was somewhere in Tutor Mobile App Barbershop Advertising Agency Magazine. I think I used this one right here. Maybe, I believe. But I'm going to click here. I'm going to find the magazine post where it talks about all of this basic stuff. I don't really like this one. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back and I'm just going to create this from scratch, because I haven't really shown you how to create anything from scratch yet. So I'm going to build this on the front end, and I want to make this super, super duper simple, because in the end, the simpler it is, and granted you have images and all of these other things that you can do, the simpler you make it, the easier it's going to be for to duplicate. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to make this full screen so you don't have to stare at my mug anymore. And I'm going to start building from scratch. This lists me as the admin. We can change this, and I'll show you how to do all of this in a different video. But the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a full width section. So I'm inserting a module. And then the very next thing I'm going to do is I am going to insert an image. Okay. So within this image module, here it is. I'm going to go ahead and click the gear button because I want to make this change. And then I'm going to upload a file. I'm going to click select files, and it's going to take me right back here, and I'm going to hit free Divi child theme compressed. And I'm going to open that file. Now, there's one thing that I need to do because that C doesn't make sense other than from a folder directory standpoint. Oh, we're loading in here. So the very next thing we're going to do is we're going to change here. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the C. So we highlighted here. And then I'm going to go ahead and highlight this, hit Control C or Command C on a Mac. I'm going to input the same thing here. So I have alt text, title, caption, and description all match exactly what my URL is, which is going to make wonderful sense to you as you're going through this process. So here I have it. Everything is good here. I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to add another text box. So I'm going to add a new section here. And the reason why I'm adding a new section, I could add just a new row, but I want to be able to maneuver around with this. So I'm going to create a new section. I'm going to make this a regular section. I'm going to go ahead and put this information here, and then or click what it is. So I'm going to add a text box here, and then I'm going to start describing what I'm putting in here. So here's a free child theme, and I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to start talking about what it is, and I'm going to use normal language. So here's the key from the standpoint of an SEO perspective. And I'm going to tell you a secret. You've probably heard this if you watched a previous video, but from an SEO perspective, search engine optimization, you want to make sure that you're using your URL, which is free Divi child theme. I want to use that at least 3 times. So I want to use that in my H1 tag. I want to use that in my URL. I want to use that in my content. I want to use that in my content 3 separate times. Okay, so here I'm going to say thanks for visiting this post. I can use it here, free Divi, maybe capitalize that, child theme post, and something regarding this, right? Please click the download button below and install this child theme on your website. And I'm going to just describe what I'm talking about. So I want to do that freely. I want to talk about what it is, going back to the 3 W's. What is it? What does it mean? And what does it mean to them? I'm going to explain everything within that text. And generally within a post, it's an unwritten rule. You'll get a lot of pushback, but generally you want to make sure that you have no less than 300 words within a post. Now that isn't an exact science, because the actual rule is take as many words or use as many words as it takes to clearly define what your message is, or clearly define the solution to a problem. And when you write content in a way that you're solving people's problems, people will engage with it more. So I'm going to go in here and, yada, 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 put in all of this information, and I'm going to do something very simple. Okay. And I'm actually going to install Rank Math, or I'm going to activate Rank Math because I need to show you that aspect. And then here, because I'm within this little section, I can add another module. I can add, more pictures. I can add all kinds of stuff. But for this one here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a new row. And I want to make this in the center, but I'm going to choose, instead of choosing this one right here, I'm going to choose this, 3 columns. And I'm not going to put anything here. So I'm going to X out of here. But here I'm going to put a button. Because in the next video, as I'm going through this, I'm going to put all of this together and I'm going to show you the code and I'm going to give you the Divi theme or child theme and I'm going to do all of these things. And this is where it's going to be. But I needed to create the basics of what I'm saying here in order for all of that to make sense. So I'm going to put here button. I chose button. I'm going to choose my text to say download. All right. And then I'm going to go into my design. I'm going to go into my button, use custom styles. Yes. And I don't remember if this site has square buttons. Let's just go ahead and leave it. So I'm going to leave it right here. I have this custom click here or font or whatever you call this thing. Yeah, button icon. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And then the one other thing that I want to do is I want to put a custom border radius of 10 pixels because I like it to have a little bit of a rounded effect. All right. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to actually make this do a direct download. Let me click on this. So one thing I forgot is alignment. I want that to be in the center. And I could actually publish this now. I can add more images if that makes sense. I can add more text if that makes sense. And I can start publishing content. We're going to go through so many different things like these link colors. We're going to go through all kinds of things to make it your own. I would add more text to this, more content to this, and then I would hit publish. But for right now, because this isn't ready to go live yet, and this is stuff that I'm going to show you in the next picture, in the next video, I'm going to click on Save Draft. And I need to activate rank math on this. So let me go back in here. So I've saved this draft. I'm going to go back into my dashboard here, and I'm going to find that plugin. And I'm going to activate it. And then I'm going to SEO this page. All right. So I'm going to go down here to rank math and I'm going to hit activate because I didn't get that far. Bear with me. I'm going to connect my account. I'm going to go ahead and activate this. All of the other information is already saved. I'm going to click on easy for this site. And we'll do a rank math video too, or I'll do a rank math. I'm going to call this a personal blog. I'm not going to put in the logo or any of this information here. I'm going to hit save and continue and save and continue. I'm going to return to my dashboard. All right. Now I'm going to go back into my post. I'm going to click on posts. And I have this draft right here. I'm going to click on edit. All right. Bear with me. We're doing some really cool stuff here. All right. So now we have this information down here. See how we have a SEO score of 17? We're going to add free Divi child theme. I'm going to hit enter. I've already jumped up to 71 out of 100. Okay. I'm going to set my featured image. See how it reset that. I'm going to set my featured image. I'm going to choose this right here to set my featured image. I'm going to edit the snippet here. So my permalink is good. I've used my title. It says free Divi child theme by Agency Hacker. And I'm going to put download our free Divi child theme. Please ensure you are using a child theme. Child theme when using Divi here is our free Divi child theme to use. Did it work? Are we there? All right, so 865 pixels out of 920. It's not going to be truncated. We're in a good position, and we're at 72 out of 100. So it says content is 24 words long. Consider using at least 600 words, 300, 600, whatever it takes to actually tell the story. We're going to go into additional. We have 0 outbound links. We have, so we're getting all of these errors. Keyword density is 4.17, and it's only because we only have 24 words on the page. We're going to take care of that in the next video. Our title readability is good. Our SEO, your SEO title doesn't contain a number. We're not going to include a number. All right, so we're going to keep that error. I'm going to go ahead and save this. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and save this draft, and let's see how it's updated from a 72, and it might be higher, but we might make it higher in the next video because I'm going to complete this and finish out this blog post, and I just wanted to get you through the basics of how to do this. All right. All right. So everything is good there. Now it shows 72. So we're still at a 72. We have everything in place, and we're ready to make the next video. So let's get back to my ugly mug here. All right, here I am. Again, if you're new to these videos, I want you to be profitable within your agency. I want you to teach, or I want you to learn basic design concepts, because basic design is what can make you a lot of great or give you a lot of great opportunities if you're new in the agency world, because you're gonna need to know design. So make sure that you know the basics, okay? Again, in the next video, I'm going to talk about something super cool, which is the rest of this, of how to personalize your child theme, and then you can give it out for free, and that's a free tool, okay? So I always tell everybody, limit what you're doing for free, and make sure that everything that you give somebody for free is maximizing your opportunity to ensure that you can make money based on that interaction. And I'm going to show you how to do that in the next video. Again, if you're new to this, press the subscribe button, hit the notifications, and I'm going to keep bringing you some stuff like this. And we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for showing up.